today's session, I have come up with a quick diagram to help you explain the coming questions for the day. So the topic I want to go ahead and pick for today, that is actually commercial and central banks. Okay, but let us go ahead and understand some of the important terms from this topic, and then quickly we will wrap up those questions related to this topic. The first term that I want to focus on, that is called as bank rate. What is bank rate? Bank rate is the rate at which central bank gives loan to the commercial bank. So the rate at which lending is taking place, but between central bank and commercial bank, that is called the bank rate. So bank rate is the rate at which central bank lends money to other banks to meet their needs. Clear? What central bank can do is, central bank can go ahead and fluctuate this bank rate. So ध्यान से समझते हैं एक बार इस पूरे प्रोसेस को. Let's try to understand this. See, when central bank will increase the bank rate, commercial bank will get these loans at a higher interest. If commercial bank will get loan at a higher interest rate, they will give you loan at a higher interest rate. If you will get loan at a higher interest rate, will you take loans? You will take less loans. When you will take less loans, what will happen? You will demand less products. When your demand will fall, क्या होगा उससे? Ultimately, the aggregate demand in the economy will decrease. So when should central banks go ahead and increase the bank rate? Central bank should increase the bank rate only when their aim is to decrease the demand. And इनका demand decrease करने का कब aim होगा बेटा? सिर्फ वो तब demand decrease करना चाहेंगे ना अगर economy में पहले ही excess demand है. If economy has a lot of inflation. So we can say that central bank can go ahead and they can change the bank rate. In other words, increase the bank rate only when they want to reduce the demand, and they want to reduce the demand only in case of excess demand. Only when there is excessive inflation in the economy. अब इसका reverse case देखो. But when will central bank want to decrease the demand? When central banks decrease the bank rate, they want to decrease the bank rate when they want to increase the demand. जब central bank rate गिराएंगे, then commercial bank will get loan at a cheaper interest rate. They will offer you loan at a cheaper interest rate. When they offer you loan at a cheaper interest rate, automatically the demand will start increasing. Everybody will take loan. Huh? So that's the first thing that I wanted to kind of highlight for the day. We have done this. The second thing I want to highlight related to banks today, that is called as open market operations. That is called as open market operation. So what is an open market operation? But an open market operation means buying and selling of securities. So this is another way in which banks can fluctuate the demand in the market. Now imagine, when banks go ahead and they sell their securities in the market, तो जब उन्होंने बेची securities, what will happen? People will buy those securities and people will pay in form of cash to the banks. So लोगों के हाथ से cash कम हो गया. So when people will pay cash, people will pay money to the banks, the money from the market will reduce. When the money will reduce, the demand will reduce. So open market operation, buying and selling of securities, is another way through which banks can fluctuate the demand in the market. Clear हुआ? That's the next thing that you have. So बेटा ये पूरा next part हमारा हो गया. अब हम एक और aspect पे आएंगे, which is known as legal reserve ratio. When I talk about the legal reserve ratio, there are two ratios. One is known as CRR, cash reserve ratio, and other is known as SLR, statutory liquidity ratio. What is cash reserve ratio? It refers to what? The minimum percentage of net demand and time liabilities to be kept by the commercial bank with the central bank. तो वो minimum पैसा जो कमर्शियल बैंक को सेंट्रल बैंक के पास रखना है, जो पैसा कमर्शियल बैंक लोन के लिए नहीं यूज कर सकता, it cannot use for lending, it has to give that to the central bank, it has to keep it with the central bank, that is known as CRR. Similarly, we have SLR. But what is SLR? It refers to minimum percentage of net demand and time liabilities commercial banks have to maintain with themselves. Again, ये पैसा वो लोन में नहीं दे सकते, इसको इनको अपने पास ही रखना है. They have to keep it with themselves, but they cannot give out as loan. अब समझो, when you go ahead and you increase these reserve ratios, that means commercial bank has to keep more money. ज्यादा पैसा वो रहेगा जो लोन में नहीं दिया जा सकता. So when you increase the reserve ratios, you are reducing the capacity of commercial bank to give loan. When commercial bank will give less loan, तो मार्केट में मनी कम होगा, लोन्स कम होंगे तो डिमांड कम होगी. भाई I want to purchase a car, but अगर मुझे लोन ही नहीं मिलेगा तो मैं वो गाड़ी कैसे खरीदूंगी? How will I buy that car? So again, when these reserve ratios they increase, commercial banks' capacity to give loan decreases, and automatically we see that it implies less aggregate demand. ये तीनों factors clear हो गए? Everyone is clear with this? Now let's go to the questions, and I hope everyone will be able to quickly do these questions. So let us start with our CUET Sankalp series for the day, and the first question is this. I give you a minute to solve. Everybody write your answers here. This rate at which central bank lends money to commercial bank is known as. So what is that called? The rate at which central bank gives money to commercial bank. Everybody post your answers on the chat window. Okay, good. A. What about others? What should be the answer to this question? A, correct. So we have just now studied that the rate at which central bank gives loan to commercial bank is called as the bank rate.